Hi, thanks for joining me today. We're looking at number 59 in Max Pottag's preparatory melodies to solo work. As if you've been following the series, you know that this is a book that was originally compiled from a collection of horn etudes, and they're really simple, beautiful little musical examples, which are not the kind of thing that trumpet players most usually play. So for that reason, I find it particularly helpful to challenge myself to play this in a way that you might hear it done on another instrument. And as a matter of fact, I'll imagine, or even better yet, ask one of my friends to play one of these little tunes on their instrument and hear what's different in terms of what they can do, their musical interpretation, and within the limitations of their instrument than it is for me to play it on the trumpet. And so if I had someone play this tune on the clarinet, for example, there would likely be a whole lot of differences between that and the way it's played on the trumpet. And what we're going to try and do to develop our playing is see if you can imitate the musical qualities of all the different instruments. So something that trumpet is good at is playing loud, and we can play strong, and we can play, we can play heavy sometimes. And it's difficult to play very light and agile like some of the woodwinds. So I might be hearing this as if I were listening to a woodwind player play it, a clarinet player or a flute player, a bassoon player, oboe player, someone whose instrument allows them to do things more easily, some musical things more easily than you can do them on the trumpet. So that's enough of my lecture. I'm going to see if I can play through this today. I've been under the weather, as some of you may know, with just recovering from a long stay in the hospital. But that's my excuse. But I'm not making an excuse. I'm saying, if I don't do this, well, that's my excuse. And that means I need to continue that process of recovery until I can get back to the place where it's fun to play and I'm not worried about the physical stuff anymore. So here we go. Whew. Feels a little rough, which is kind of where I am right now. So again, how would I practice this? Well, trumpet players are going to have different difficulties. Some people find it, playing delicate things like this, to be very natural and enjoyable. A few players have told me that they love the Bousquet etudes. Most trumpet players don't. A few players have told me that they love the Brandt etudes. The majority of trumpet players don't. And we tend to like what is easy for us, what we get some musical satisfaction from. So I find a lot of challenge with this, and many of the same challenges exist in this piece as in many of these other tunes. Dynamics is one of them. So I'm constantly dealing with the fact that I look at piano, for example, and I'm automatically, so I'm controlling the air so I don't overblow, because I have a strong tendency to overblow. So one of the first things I'm going to do is see if I can get in the flow of feeling comfortable with easy response just in the first line as I move around the horn. Now, as trumpet players, and I feel this every day, I'm constantly working on it, we have a tendency to hold on to each note. Some people call this slotting the notes. So we try and put the note in that slot. The slot is an acoustical reality of the instrument itself, which means there's a place where that note's going to vibrate perfectly. Of course, you can change that by pulling the tuning slide out, for example. You can change it if you're playing physically differently, but there's a place where, there is the sweet spot of the note, and many of you know that. So what we're trying to do is, in the best sense, is never move away from the sweet spot. That sweet spot moves through the pitches, but we're always staying balanced in the sweet spot. What most trumpet players do is they tend to move to the next sweet spot and hold on. What do I mean? Well, if I play the next passage, and that's where I got into a little trouble the first time. So for many players, that descending line, and you want it to feel like this. So how would I practice? I would sing it. I would probably try and whistle it, even though I'm not very good at whistling. I would try it. I would buzz it on the mouthpiece. All the while trying to maintain the freedom and the quality of the vibration. Now you can hear whether you're doing that if you listen to just the sound coming out of the horn. You can also kind of feel it, whether the lip is vibrating freely or whether you're kind of manipulating, maybe in the throat, with the body, mouthpiece pressure, with the embouchure itself. So I'm looking for the place where it's free. Now I have a free blow, but I'm doing that on the mouthpiece. On the trumpet, for me anyway, it feels like a much more delicate touch. And that's the problem. Most people will try and touch it delicately, but actually what you need to do is touch it gently, but with absolute authority. In other words, you're doing it on purpose. You're not doing it aggressively and forcefully. You're doing it gently and purposefully. So that means you have to feel that. When you do that, everything in this piece becomes easier. Now let's switch down to another spot here. So you're playing forte in the low register. And this is the end of the third line, last two bars. Okay, so I'm getting close, but I'm still fighting a little bit when I change between forte and piano. And that's what you want to watch for. So I've mentioned this before, but one way that I practice is I try to make a smooth transition from one dynamic to another, especially a subito dynamic like this. So I'd get to the end of the forte phrase, and I'm probably going to take a breath there anyway, so that's what I practice. And now I'm holding the breath back a little bit. So, wow, that's very instructive. So I know what I want. The breath is moving just as free. There's just not as much air flowing. And what most players do, and this is what I'm struggling with all the time myself, is we control that overblow by holding back. And when we do that, now we don't have the same beauty of the flow through. And that's what makes it difficult to control our dynamics. And one reason why I like this book so much. So I'm constantly faced with this musical challenge. Now, we haven't talked about articulation, and I'm not going to talk about it in this one. I could keep going on all day because there's so much in here. So there's kind of a lesson in that. Pick something, a single thing that you know can be better and that you think you can improve, and then work on that thing. And then try something else and see how those two things relate. As soon as you start to become more aware of how all the things you're doing musically and all the things you're doing physically are actually united, they must be united for success. They must be working together. And you can gradually do that by just picking one thing and then adding another thing. So I'm not going to talk about the articulation, but I'm certainly hearing it and I'm trying to do it. So my teacher's telling me this, no, staccato, staccatissimo. And then I try and do that musical thing that I hear. And chances are, if you're like me, when you're doing that, you're going to be trying physically way too hard. So I'll go right back again. Now, with the microphone and doing it this electronic way, you can't really tell what it's like in person. I'm giving you the best impression I can, and I'm no expert. But I came down softer than piano when I made the transition. So now I'm not playing with real tone. So the key here, the real starting point is listen with tremendous intensity for the musical qualities of what is coming out of your horn. Listen for the differences in dynamics. Don't feel for them, because your body already knows how to anticipate playing aggressively loud or playing delicately soft. You see how this is what we do, and it should feel very, very close, because the only thing that changes is the amount of air that's flowing, right? That's easy to say, but it's hard to do. So since I know that you're probably wanting to go work on this yourself, please go and do that, and come back for another session when you're ready to focus in a little bit more. This is a lot of work. Give yourself freedom, give yourself permission to enjoy the process, and keep your eye on the prize as you work. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.